My name is Jeanna Norris. I'm an administrative associate and fiscal officer at Michigan State University. I've been working remotely from home since the U.S. declared a national emergency for the pandemic, but in November 2020, I got COVID-19. Getting COVID-19 was nerve-wracking. When I tested positive, I was nervous because I didn't know how my body would react to having the disease. In July 2021, MSU announced a vaccine mandate that would require all staff and students to be vaccinated by August 31st. One of the results of not getting vaccinated would be facing disciplinary action, including and up to termination. I decided to get tested for antibodies in response to the mandate to ensure that I did indeed have them. When I got the results back, my doctor said that I had robust immunity and that this vaccination has the potential to carry adverse effects if I were to take it.
Ms. Norris approached us after having heard about Todd Zwicky, a professor at GMU, who had robust natural immunity to COVID-19 and did not want to get the vaccine for that reason. Ms. Norris was in an extremely similar situation.
In my case, George Mason announced that they were going to have some sort of vaccine policy on campus. So I contacted the people who were the architects of the policy and said, hey, are you guys going to do something about natural immunity? And they sent back a completely bogus response that basically said, well, we don't think natural immunity works. It was pretty clear to me that George Mason was not interested in listening to the science. And so that's when I contacted NCLA and said, I think I've got a case here.
NCLA argued on Todd Zawicki's behalf to George Mason University that it needed to grant him a medical exemption for the natural immunity that he has. They refused to even take natural immunity into account, but we pressed against George Mason University, and eventually they found a way of granting him a medical exemption on a much narrower ground that only applied to him.
In the frequently asked question page addressing the details of the mandate, they addressed natural immunity by saying that vaccination was still going to be required, whether you could produce antibody results or not. Based on my results that I was positive for antibodies, seeing that on my computer screen, I realized that I didn't have a route. Sorry.
There's something going on here that folks haven't really understood. The police power, that is the ability to mandate things based on the health and safety of your citizens, is something that belongs to state governments, in this case, the state of Michigan. The CDC, the federal government, the FDA, that's not the state of Michigan. These federal agencies have issued guidance, they've issued recommendations, they've issued things that are not law. Michigan State, in turn, relying on that guidance, has turned around to its employees, like Ms. Norris, and tried to force them to take a vaccine that they don't want and that's medically unnecessary for people who do not pose a risk. Ms. Norris does not pose a risk to any of her coworkers, not just because she works remotely, but because she has natural immunity.
The case that's been cited to provide a lot of support for vaccine mandates is a case called Jacobson versus Massachusetts. Henning Jacobson did not want to get the smallpox vaccine in 1905 because he had suffered a vaccine injury as a child. So he brought a lawsuit against the town arguing that he shouldn't have to get the vaccine. The Supreme Court ended up saying that the town could impose a $5 fine on him for refusing to get the vaccine. That's around $140 today. We think that the courts are wrong to continue to apply Jacobson to this situation. Since Jacobson was decided, there's been a growing recognition of the importance of people's ability to decline medical treatments, which is what's at issue here.
It's unacceptable that people are having their jobs threatened in order to get this vaccine. That's called an unconstitutional condition. It's taking something that's your constitutional right, that is the right to refuse a vaccination, the right to your bodily integrity, and it's using something else that's valuable to you, your job, your livelihood, and it's trying to leverage that thing that is meaningful to you in order to force you to give up your constitutional right. And that's why NCLA is fighting against these vaccine mandates where this unconstitutional condition leverage is being used.
It's not just that it's scary, it's frustrating, it's belittling to have these sorts of petty little tyrant standing between me and my doctor on what is an incredibly important and personal choice that can affect the entire rest of your life and health.
NCLA has provided the opportunity to be heard and to have natural immunity validated, not just by the medical community who already knows this exists, but by everyone. That natural immunity is legitimate and that it's protective and that we are not a threat.